Good afternoon, all. I'm Reverend Jude Geiger, the Minister of Community Engagement here at Community Church, and I welcome you all on behalf of our staff, our ministry team, and all our lay leaders. It's good to be together, both in person and online. Community Church is a multiracial, multicultural, multi-generational congregation with a vision and commitment to build a world grounded in equity and inclusion. Here with me this morning is our Director of Music, Jerry Brown, Darnell White, our musician in residence, our talented choir, and we send love to two of our choir members who had to call out ill today, and Reverend Peggy Clark, our senior minister. And the Omega liturgical dancers are also with us today and will be with us once a month going forward. And a special thanks to Amir, our Monday through Friday building support, who's filling in for Anthony this morning. Community Church is in transition. We've sold our church building and are in the process of finding another in this neighborhood. We are guests here at this Church of the Incarnation in the meantime, for which we are grateful, even if this beautiful space may or may not perfectly reflect our theology. Children are always welcome during worship. Feel free to move around the space or to move back and forth to join programming happening upstairs in our loft through those doors. The sounds of babies crying or children fidgeting is a beautiful part of being in community. Masks are optional. Please be respectful of each other's individual decisions and needs for personal space. And today, we are celebrating the upcoming winter solstice and Hanukkah, which starts this evening. The title of our service is By Thy Light Glowing. Please rise in body or in spirit, and let's sing together our opening hymn, Light One Candle. It's number 221 in the Gray Hymnal.
Hello, it's so good to see all of you today as we celebrate the oncoming winter solstice and Hanukkah. I want to make a quick note to you. At the last minute, we changed our order of service a little bit, so you're just going to have to trust me and go with it. We are going to begin with a call to worship that I didn't write. I usually write our call to worship, but today this is by Annie Forrester. Come we now out of the darkness of our unknowing and the dusk of our dreaming. Come we now from far places. Come we now into the twilight of our awakening and the reflection of our gathering. Come we now all together. We bring unilluminated our dark caves of doubting. We seek unbedazzled the clear light of understanding. May the sparks of our joining kindle our resolve, brighten our spirits, reflect our love, and unshadow our days. Come we now enter the dawning. We are going to first sing and then speak our chalice lighting, but before we do, two of the Omega dancers are going to walk us through a little body lighting.
We light this candle, the flame of our heritage. May it ignite hope in our lives, in our community, and in the world. I invite you to join with us in our unison affirmation as printed in the order of service. Unto the Church Universal, which is the depository of all ancient wisdom and the school of all modern thought, which recognizes in all prophets a harmony, in all scriptures a unity, and through all dispensations a continuity, which abjures all that separates and divides, and always magnifies humanity and peace, which seeks truth in freedom, justice in love, and individual discipline in social duty, and which shall make of all persons one beloved community, unto this church and unto all its members, known and unknown, throughout the world, we pledge the allegiance of our hands and hearts. Join with me, if you will, in our spoken land acknowledgement. We are gathered on the unceded land of the Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the Lenape community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement demonstrates a commitment to beginning the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. And now is the time in our service we invite the gathering to greet one another and welcome in community in as safe a way that feels to you in light of the pandemic.
Okay, friends, time to find your seats. I always love the joyful way you greet each other. And I don't like being the one to tell you have to sit down. Let's focus first on the sound to bring us back into our space and maybe into our bodies. Breath of the universe, we give thanks today for all our blessings, all of the things in our lives and our world that give us peace, comfort, and joy. We give thanks for this beautiful, ancient, and fragile planet, for air and water that give us life, for trees and plants that sustain us. We are grateful for the sun, even as we move so far from its light and warmth, for the turning of the seasons, for the call indoors, for the generosity of Mother Earth as the cold and ice settle in. We also feel the heaviness of this world, the burden of these days. We carry the complexity of viruses that continue to define life on this planet. We lift up everyone who is sick today and all those worried about someone who is sick and all the caregivers around them. We pray today for those steeped in poverty here in New York and around the globe, people who struggle to find food, who worry about safe shelter, who cannot protect their children from sickness. We hold them in prayer during these dark and chilly days when respite is so hard to find. We pray today that we embrace our power, that we claim our voices, that we know ourselves to be critical in the fight for liberation, even as injustice and oppression such as racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia run rampant. We also pray today for those people, especially those in this congregation, who are struggling, who are lonely, who are sad, or who are afraid. Spirit of life, give us the gift of friendship. Give us the mind to know what is needed. Give us the heart of conviction that we won't lose faith, that we won't lose hope. Be in us and with us as love, so our vision of a better world can guide us on during these dark and chilly days. We pray all of these things in the name of hope, and into the dark we say, Amen. Together we're going to sing the winter solstice chant. It is in your teal hymnal, number 1063.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Our reading this week is a story called The Rebirth of the Sun by Starhawk. Circle around, and I'll tell you a story about when the sun was born again. It was the middle of winter, much like we are now, and the sun had grown very old. All year long, the sun had worked very hard, rising and setting day after day. All year long, the sun had fed everybody on earth, shining and shining, giving energy to the trees and the flowers and the grasses so they could grow and feed the animals and birds and insects and people. All year, the sun's gravity held tight to the spinning ball of the earth and the twirling ball of the moon and the 8 other planets, whirling around as they traveled around and around and around until the poor sun was so dizzy watching it all. Now, the poor tired sun could barely make it up in the morning, and after a very short time, needed to sleep again. Some of us have been there before, right? So the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer until the day was so short it was hardly worth getting up for. Night felt sorry for the sun. Come to my arms and rest, child. After all, I am your mother. You were born out of my darkness billions of years ago, and you will return to me when all things end. Let me cradle you now, and as I shelter every galaxy and star in the universe. So night wrapped her great arms around the sun, and the night was very long indeed. Why does the dark go on so long? The children asked all over the earth. Won't the sun ever come back again? The sun was very tired, the old one said, but maybe if you children thank the sun for all the thing the sun does for us, the light may return in the morning. And so the children sang songs to the sun. They thought about all the things that the sun they gave them, and they thanked the sun for the lettuce and the wheat and the rice. Thank you for growing our trees and our forests and the seaweed in the oceans and even the tiniest little krill for the whales in the sea. Thank you for stirring the air and the wind that brings us rain. Every time a child thanked the sun began to feel a little warmer, a little brighter. Wrapped safely in the arms of night, the sun grew younger and younger. At last, the children had to go to bed. When the elders said, "We'll stay up and wait for the sun to rise again." And the children unsurprisingly asked, "But can't we stay up too?" And the elders said, "You'll grow very tired soon and need to go to rest, but we will stay up and watch and wait for the sun to rise again. But you can each light a candle, because all fire is a spark of the fire of the sun. Put your candle in a very safe space and let it keep vigil for you as you sleep and dream of sunrise." So the children lit their candles and put them in very safe places, and each flame was a little spark of the sun's fire. And the sun peeped out from between the arms of night and saw all the little fires all across the world and began to feel warmer and brighter and younger still. Early in the morning, the old ones woke the children. Together they climbed a high hill and faced to the east, the direction of the sunrise. They sang songs to the sun and ran around trying to keep warm in the cold winter. And they waited and waited to see what the dawn would bring. This one more time. The sky began to turn from black to indigo to blue. Slowly the sky grew light. A golden glow crept across the horizon. Night opened her great arms, and in a burst of brightness, the sun appeared, new and strong and shining For in the long night the sun had rested well and grown young from the songs and the thanks of the children, young as a brand new baby born out of night once more. Everybody cheered, and the children jumped up and down. The sun has returned, the sun is reborn, the people cried. And they danced and sang to celebrate the birth of a new day, and they celebrated on into breakfast. I invite our choir for our musical response.
Imagine with me for a moment. We're in a cave, a dark temple, with a fire and some candles to keep us from complete darkness. The light is low, sounds are hushed. We hum, we sway, we huddle together, smiling at each other across the warm light. We see the night through until day, resting, leaning on each other, holding sleeping children in our arms and across our laps. Blankets draped over us, we tell stories about the dark and the light returning. We watch for signs of sun as a symbol of the turning earth, the days yet to come. For tonight, the sun rests, having been wrapped by the night, and when he returns, we all awaken to greet the dawn, the new day. The ancient peoples gathered on the winter solstice around fires, inside caves and temples, and just that way. They brought comfort to each other, leaned on each other, sang and danced and created hope and joy with each other. Into the darkest, longest nights, they brought themselves and their families. They prayed to the gods and goddesses who controlled the turning or whose stories helped make sense of the cycles of earth that still define our lives. During these late December, early January days hovering around the winter solstice, we have about 9 hours of light. That's it. Just about enough to last a workday. My alarm goes off at 6 o'clock every morning, and it's dark as night. Within 2 minutes of opening my eyes, I'm outside in the cold, walking the dogs, looking at the moon. Back indoors, I turn lights on and heat up, trying to trick myself into believing daytime has begun. At 7 o'clock, we start the trek towards school. The sun is beginning to wake, but won't really be up till 7:30. The morning feels soft. Everything is draped in gray, as if the filter from an old black and white TV show has been laid over it all. Red and green traffic lights seem out of place in the muted colors of morning. When school is over, the sun is already descending, and dark returns at 4:30, hours before the busyness of the day comes to an end. We live in the dark. We tend to think of daytime as the hours when the sun is up, but for a portion of the year, we move through our lives in an almost perpetual nightscape, walking and working without the sun to beckon or support us. Plenty of people find this lack of daylight depressing, but I find it comforting. Cold and dark conspire to slow us down, to shift us into a state of semi-hibernation, a natural time for winter sleep, and I welcome it. In the story that Reverend Jude just told us, the sun is tired. The night wraps around the sun, allowing the sun to rest while the people wait. There are many stories told all over the Northern Hemisphere, handed down over millennia to put this time in context. In Judaism, Hanukkah may not be a holiday of major importance, but it is nonetheless a story told every year, partnered with music and games to explain and help us live in this time of dark. The story itself is problematic, since we're technically celebrating the victory of a ruling family opposed to religious and cultural pluralism, but I am not willing to get stuck on any of those details. The Jewish story speaks to our shared lived reality. It was dark, very dark. And with the dark came the cold, and in the dark cold there was fear. The people took a chance on hope and used the oil they had and did the best they could to survive. The fire burned for 8 days, long enough to get them through. They celebrated, and we remember every year that faith can sustain us even when all seems lost. Both the menorah and Christmas lights are modern echoes of the ancient impulse to cast off the dark, a collective act of defiance. In the very recent past, from the 2016 election through the pandemic, people have been more likely to leave lights on well into March, reportedly because days felt sad and frightening and they needed the reminder of joy the light could bring. I understand that. But instead of seeking the light this year, I'm enjoying the dark. It might be a COVID thing. For a good long while, the world slowed down. Recently, it sped up again, and while I'm not going to romanticize anything about COVID, the experience of modern life in slow motion was healing. I'm sorry we seem to have forgotten. As a society, we've kicked into higher gear again. But before the light returns, I'm hoping for a little more time to be comforted by the dark. In the dark, edges become blurry. In the light, we can see each finger on our own hands and where our wrist extends outside the sleeve sitting on it. In the dark, it all melts together. My sleeve, the wrist, and fingers and hands. When someone puts their hand in mine, I can feel them as distinct, but I see them as part of my own body. We begin to blend, as people will if they're walking arm in arm or a group is huddling together in the dark and cold, keeping warm. In the dark, we bend and breathe and feel the energy of each other, but the hard edges of our bodies aren't discernible like they are in the light when we stand apart, hands in pockets. There's mystery in the dark. There's growth in the dark. Plant a seed beneath the soil and the seed will blossom. If you have an idea, a thought, something dangerously brilliant, Plant that beneath the soil too, so it can take root. It's in the wet earth, away from the people and the eyes and the busyness of our lives, that genius has the space it needs. Babies also need dark, deep in a womb where eyes are closed but experience profound dependence, a love not yet quantifiable. And it's from the dark that our new world will be born, too. Winter is a time for reflection, a time to sit, to think, to wonder and consider, a time also to sleep, to curl up under a pile of blankets, to let imagination run wild. One of the reasons we moved this service a little earlier, as early as we could possibly get it, really given the availability, was that we didn't want people walking home in the dark. But maybe we should have rethought that. Walking home as the sun is going down on a late Sunday afternoon is a perfect time to dream a new world. We need that time. The world is turning toward or turning into or turning away from what? What is being born? Who are we in this new time? The dark gives us space. If we can't see everything in stark relief, we can pay attention to the interior landscape, to the meadows and shorelines and breathing trees of our own bodies. The world gets larger. We get larger when we have time to dream in the dark. David White writes, "When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your womb tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you." Here in the dark, this winter solstice, I plan to wonder about what should be cast off and what should be reclaimed. I'm going to think about who I belong to, who my people are, which bodies should melt into mine and which should be held at arm's distance. And I'm going to dream the new world, one where everyone has been claimed, everyone has people, and dreams have room to take root. This sermon wanted to be written in poetry and music and dance. As I was writing, I kept complaining to myself that my sermon doesn't have a point, but that is the point. It is not a time to know, to be right, to be clear. It's a time to grapple, to wonder, to wander, to lie back and dream big. That's the invitation of the solstice, of the deep dark that envelops us. I know how important words are in this congregation and that I've already cut sermons nearly in half, but today, 7 days from Christmas Eve, 3 from winter solstice, and 2 hours from the first night of Hanukkah, what's beckoning us isn't the hard line of prose, but the soft body of poetry. Instead of explaining through well-researched argument or posing life-defining questions, let's bury ideas in the soil and dance over them, summoning the sun to birth a fresh year. During this winter solstice, let's hum and sway and lock arms and huddle under blankets around a fire together while we dream a new world. The Omega dancers are going to dance their final dance to Dark of Winter, which is number 55 if you'd like to sing along.
What a beautiful offering of music and dance. Life at Community Church is busy, whether we are online or in person. It is our hope that wherever you are, and in whatever way you are comfortable, engaging in the mission and ministry of this church, we've provided opportunities for you. Next Saturday night, Christmas Eve, we're gathering at 35th Street at 4:30 for a musical candle lighting service to start the Christmas holiday. That's this Saturday. It's coming up fast. We hope everyone can join us. There will be a Christmas service posted online on Sunday, available on our website at any time on Christmas Day. And we'll be here on New Year's Day for our annual Kwanzaa service at our regular time of 2 p.m. We are a 7-day church and have programs running every day of the week. You can find more information in the program and on our website. Our ushers are going to pass a plate for our collection. If you're new here, please let the plate go by you with no pressure to give. We are glad for your presence. All gifts offered are accepted in gratitude.
Chalice extinguishing is in your program. Let's say these words together. Knowing how quickly the flame of truth may be extinguished, how easily the chalice of fellowship broken, let us be vigilant in faith, keep peace in our hearts, and make care for one another the watchword of our lives together, so our light goes out everywhere into the world. Our light goes out into the world, bringing healing and hope wherever it's needed. Let us go in peace to love and serve the world and one another. It's good to be with you all.